Welcome to Tunisia's Locks, Beauty Tips, and Potpourri, the channel where we get it all in. You can also learn more about the I Am Melanin Magic brand. Thank you for stopping by. Hello. Beautiful butterflies and perfect people. Welcome to Tunisia's Locks, Beauty Tips, and Potpourri. Now, y'all gonna see me kind of going through my locks because I told myself when I do these videos from now on, I need to kind of share my hair a little bit more. So you may just see me kind of doing this sort of thing with it as we go. It's just to give you some picture into my particular hair story. And goodness knows I've got a serious hair story. I'm going to talk to you about tips for retightening, but this is coming to me as in, I'm going to also begin to share a little bit more about some of my challenges with my locks along the way. Y'all know I am a decade plus into this journey, and it has been a marvelous journey. By the way, if you have not purchased my I Am Melanin Magic products, or if you happen to be looking for something to get that glow on to make your skin look gorgeous, yes, I'm coming up on 51, and I gotta tell you, for these lines up here from doing this all these years, this is what helps me with that. If you want beautiful skin, if you want glow, if you want natural exfoliation, go to IamMelaninMagic.com. If you want to regrow hair in areas where your hair has felt thin or the hair is shorter, you need to get this. This is the Magical Hair Growth Serum. It comes in a drop spout type, pour spout type bottle. The label is actually purple now. It doesn't look like this. I redesigned it. And this is the go-to spray, y'all, which will heal any issues that you're having with your hair over the long term, regardless of what they are. Even if you have been an obsessive plucker of cotton and have screwed up your ends, but y'all know I've kept open ends all these years. I opened up my ends at the very beginning of my journey. But if you have anything that requires your hair that needs to be fortified, if you've dyed your hair, which I have so many times over the years, if you're trying to combat issues with your scalp, oh, and by the way, please follow the usage instructions. Please do a patch test. And if you have issues with your scalp and you have a lot of irritation, like you have dermatitis or psoriasis, this may not necessarily be the product for you, and maybe not this one either. If you do decide to order it, because I've had some sisters that said, oh my gosh, I have eczema and I have open sores on my scalp, and this stuff works well for me. It depends on your unique little footprint, okay, in the world. And so what works for one man may not work for another man, but I am putting something together that I've been working on for the last 3 months, specifically for inflamed scalps. So keep an eye out for that. I'm also doing a little bit with the gray magic, which is why I have not messed with all the gray that is coming in up here, because I need it to respond to the formula. I'm also working on a spray for moisturization. All right, but this is conditioning, it's renewing, it helps your hair follicles, it's going to maximize and accelerate your growth. It's going to do so much for you, but you can get it from the I Am Melanin Magic website. But I wanted to say, I want to be sharing a little bit more on the videos about some of my particular challenges, and I'm going to say I've had more challenges with my ends. And that is probably because of the dyeing, but less of the dyeing and more of the picking lint. Y'all, I do this at different periods where sometimes I get pretty anal. I have 3 really super sharp tweezers that I carry around with me. I have 1 in both cars and 1 upstairs, okay? And I also have 1 in my pocketbook, so that makes 4. So whenever I'm sitting in the car, I take a look at my hair. Okay, I'm gonna do my little shakeout thing that I tell you all about, which you don't play with. Don't believe the hype when people tell you they don't have lint. It's just that they don't know that they have lint. If you have locks, if you live in this world, if you can look up at the light in your room and shake a piece of fabric and see particles in the air, ooh, that was a call. If you can look up at the light and look off into the distance, from a window that's shining or the blinds are open and you see particles in the air, baby, you got lint in your hair, because in order to be alive, you're shedding skin. In order to be alive, your hair is attracting things. It is a living and breathing ecosystem. So if you're like me, you let it get the best of you, because I don't really do well with the caps, y'all, and I keep saying I'm gonna get to that one of these days. I don't do so great with the caps. I'm working on these two spots right here, y'all, where my hair has been thin always, and I didn't think that I could thicken it up until I started working with this, but I only did it for like 3 weeks. And I know that if I were to just go down in there and do it a little bit longer, I could really get those spaces to grow. But I accepted my hair was just gonna be like that my whole life. I just thought that's the way it was until recently, until trying it and saying, you know what, I know this formula is wonderful because other women have told me how great it is, but I haven't used it on my hair in any sustainable way. Do I have any place that's thinning? No, not really. And then I was like, well, let me work on this. But then I'm like, but your hair's been like that your whole life, even before you got locks. And guess what? I don't have as bad of a plucked chicken look now. So yeah, my ends have been problematic because I have opened them up. When I had those problems with the bulging and the rebellion stage, the teenage stage, I would go in and in an effort to have my locks even, I would open things up, and then, as you know, you lose a little bit each time. But probably more than anything else, it's been the picking of little tiny particles in my hair that nobody can see but me. So that's been on me, y'all. So my advice to you is, whatever it is you're doing to your hair, or whatever it is the elements are doing to your hair, there's going to be some vice or something that you may be doing to your hair that you could probably not do, and it would benefit you more. And that's why I will stand by it. And I had a video that talked about this. That's why you will find men with long, luscious locks well into 18 and 20 years that are not thinning, because they don't do so much with their hair like we do, okay? But anyway, this video is about some of the things that I feel you need to be mindful of. You see, like this one, I should have a whole bunch of them the same length and longer, actually, because the other thing that I've done, which I'll make number one, is to be aware of your pattern. And if you start doing your own hair, keep up with the rotation, if it's counterclockwise or it's clockwise, because when you don't, it impedes the growth of your hair, and your hair is going to be forced to grow in another direction, which is going to affect its ability to grow long and be long. So be mindful of that. But yeah, this video is going to be just giving you some retightening tips for this particular journey. And before I digress too much, that first one is really important, because it's something that we, especially if you're not one of those by the rule people. I am not a Sisterlocks idol worshiper. Never have been, never will be. As you can see, I've been using oil since day one. Now that's because Efraj put oil in my hair in the beginning, and I was in the beginning, and I was like, well, you know, the Sisterlocks people say, you know, do you sure? I'm thinking, Lord, I'm investing $700. Then no, don't put the oil in. Guess what? She's a master cosmetologist and a natural hair care practitioner for over 20 years. She knows natural hair. She knew what my hair needed. Hell, I knew what my hair needed. I knew I needed oil in my scalp before all of this. And I needed it when I was a kid, and I didn't have any chemicals in my hair. So doggone it, I was sure going to need it now. What was really going to change? But tips for your retightenings, okay? Watch for the pattern. Make sure you're consistently using the same pattern. If you don't, or you don't know your pattern, or someone does your hair and they're halfway through your hair and you realize, I had that happen one time, y'all, and they hadn't even asked me my rotation, and I forgot to tell them, and I'm sitting up here thinking, well, damn. She didn't ask. She's supposed to ask. Make sure that they know your pattern. Make sure you know your pattern so that you don't stunt your hair's growth and make it more difficult for your hair to do what it naturally is supposed to do. The second thing I want to talk about is timing the frequency of your retightenings based on what your unique hair care needs are. Y'all know, and there's a sister in Europe I'm supposed to be getting more information about. She has a microlock or tiny lock system that is being patented or trademarked, let me say. Trademarked, I think. No, patenting has to do with the process. I think trademark has to do with the name. Like I Am Melanin Magic is being trademarked. Yes, we're winning our case. We had to get an attorney. But anyway, yeah. So this lady in Europe is saying that her process requires retightening every 3 months. Now, y'all know, up until more recently, and I'm trying something different, I'll let you know how it goes. Up until more recently, I've been doing my retightenings like every 10, 11, 12 weeks. And look at my hair. I hadn't suffered as a result of it. If my hair suffers, it's going to be from some other stuff. And trust me, I know what it is. It won't be that 12-week retightening schedule. My advice to you is to figure out what works for your hair. My advice to you is not to fall into somebody's cookie cutter routine because they tell you that's how often they need you to come back when you're waiting too long and your hair's falling out because something's going on with your hair that may not be going on with mine because your grade of hair is different, or your growth pattern is different, or your kink, the kink in your hair is different, or maybe you're going in too frequently and you know you don't need to be in there that often, and every time you come out you just feel like you're getting it retightened too often. Your retightening schedule needs to work for you, not your loctician. Okay, that's like saying when a kid comes through the door to tutor and I'm tutoring, I'm going to teach that kid the same way I taught the kid before him or her because they're in the same grade level. Never mind the fact that they have different strengths and weaknesses. Never mind the fact that the kid that came through the door has mastered the 3 skills that I taught the kid before her or before him. So you can't just be put into a process that says I need you to come back this day because this is when all my clients come in. If you have someone that is that rigid, you might need to find someone else, all right? Other issues, number 3, regarding retightnings has to do with the quality of the retightening. You hear me talk about this kind of thing all the time because the loctician, the person that is doing your hair, is responsible for the quality of your retightenings. Now, you have a little bit to play into that, which I'm going to talk about in my next point, which I forget the number, y'all. Let's see. I think it'll be 4. And that is the quality of your retightening has to do with the tension. This is from where I sit. This is my experience. It has to do with the tension that's being placed on the hair as the rotations are being formed. It has to do with the way that the person is pulling in new hair. It has to do with whether or not your hair is hurting at the conclusion of it, if you need to take some Tylenol, if your head is aching for 2-3 weeks, if the quality of the retightening has caused you to lose some hair, if the quality of the retightening is affecting whether or not your locks are thinning and you're having marriage issues. You need to determine one thing at a time, what's the most important thing you want to focus on with regard to your retightenings, and bring that up with your loctician consultant in a very diplomatic way and see if you can't reach a meeting of the minds to help you navigate something that you may feel is a concern with your hair. Your hair should not be hurting. Your scalp should not be sore. You should not have red spots. You should not have bleeding. It should not feel like it did when your grandmother, who was a beautician, did your hair in the basements during the summer and you spent 4 hours getting your hair done. Okay, it should not feel like that. It should not be painful. If you remember them days when you used to cry, or when the braids were pulled so tight your eyes did like this, it's not supposed to be like that. It's not supposed to be like this. I'm not supposed to be here. It's not supposed to be like that. And if it is, you need to take it up with your loctician. Very serious business. What else can you do when it comes to retightenings? You got to groom your hair. You should never go into for a retightening and just pluck your butt down in that seat, whether they're shampooing your hair or not. First of all, I'm one for shampooing your own hair because I need to control what happens when the locks get all tangled up, or I need to make sure that, things are just being done the way I need them to be done. The less time in my hair that I can control, the better off I feel like I am. I'm just very particular, y'all. I'm 10 plus, I'm a decade beyond, and it's at this time that many of my beautiful sisters start to suffer some serious issues with their hair. Now, many before, but I'll tell you what has saved me along the way has been this. Okay, let's face it, you got to take vitamins today. You got to supplement your diet. You got to give yourself extra support, whether it's diet, whether it's with what you're putting in your hair, the elements, y'all, what's in the air, the quality of our water, the extra friction that your hair is getting when you style it, when you run your hands through it, when you manipulate it, when you get these retighteners. You have to do something to offset the subtle level traumas and the major traumas that your hair goes through as you matriculate through this particular process. So all of this stuff is really, really important, but I've been at this for some time and I'm in a very interesting stage where I really have to monitor what's going on with my hair, because I need for this abundant hairstyle to go with me into the rest of the 50s and beyond if I have anything to do with it. And I'm willing to make whatever sacrifice I have to make. But with regard to the retightnings, it's on you to do the grooming. Okay, you've got to groom. That means you have to, after you have done your first retightening or your fresh retightening, after say 2.5 to 3 weeks, you need to begin to monitor for hairs that combine. You need to be able to go in and you need to make sure that none of your locks are marrying and that none of your locks are tangling, all right? This is very, very important, because in doing this before you go in for retightening, especially if your loctician does not wash your hair, when you sit down, your hair is primed and ready to go. And it's going to be easier for her. You'll be an easier client. Everybody likes an easy client. You're willing to go the extra mile and to compromise more and to be more open to new ideas with the client that is coming in with clean hair, is coming in with hair that's, you know, not requiring a whole lot of extra work for you. If you have some particular requests and you're an easy client, that loctician is going to be more likely to accommodate you. But if you're going in there, your hair is smelly, you got build up, it's not clean, you didn't do what you were told to do prior to that, you got all these tangles and everything, even if you were the one that washed your hair or she has to wash your hair, either way it's going to be more work on her. It's going to be more tedious. And you better believe that if you have unmarried your locks prior to even washing, even if she has to wash it, your hair is going to be a heck of a lot more manageable. It just is. If not, it's going to just further exacerbate an already difficult situation. Your hair will become more matted. It's going to be more work for her. And if you think in anybody's world she's going to pull that hair apart as gently and as softly as you would, you better think again, because she's got other clients that are coming in. She's probably figures that maybe you should have done a little bit more grooming. Who knows? Who knows? But no one's going to care for your hair like you do. And in understanding that, it is on you to make sure that when you go in for your retightening, you have done your due diligence, that your hair is either clean or your scalp has been, your locks have been somewhat groomed, in the sense that you're checking your parts. You're making sure that you can run your hands through your hair, or you can go through any aspect of your grid and you are not dealing with any married locks, any stray hairs, and if so, you can gently take those things apart. Folks, this is very, very, very important. I cannot tell you how important it is. The next thing that I want to talk about is perhaps considering doing your own retightenings. I just did a video on that, and I did a video about a month and a half ago showing you 11 different tools that you might want to consider in terms of doing your retightening. It's always say, God bless the child who's got his own. Listen, you can have a loctician consultant who is perfect, but she can have an issue and not be able to get you in. She could move, she could get sick, all hell could break loose, and you are at the mercy of someone else. It's one thing to not do your retightenings because you don't want to do them, but you know how to do them. It's a whole nother thing to need to be able to do your retightening and not even have a clue of how to begin. There are so many self-help videos here on YouTube. You do not have to take a class in order to be able to do your retightenings. You are in the best condition and have the cleanest of intentions and motivations to be able to do your hair than anybody else. I suggest now rather than later, at least beginning to take a few locks here and there, and you may decide to use the same locks so that you can monitor those locks and see what happens to those locks compared to the rest of the locks that your loctician is doing, so that you can pick up tips and you can look at, oh, well, maybe I didn't put enough tension in here this time. Maybe that's why I have a little looseness here. Maybe that's why my roots feel a little bit more tangled than usual in this spot, because I didn't pull enough, I didn't create enough tension as I was finished with one rotation and getting ready to go into the next one, whatever it may be. But I think it's important for you to definitely see what you can do to arm yourself with a certain level of skills out of necessity, and not wait until you're in a situation where you have to be able to either find another loctician in a short amount of time with very little notice, or be in a place where we have some type of ox type quarantine, and then you have to, y'all know what I'm saying, right? God forbid. But it's something that you really, really, really want to keep an eye on, okay? The other thing I want to talk about, and the last thing I want to talk about, is doing a retightening if your hair is tangled and you notice yourself doing this and doing that and having a difficult time, and you're not with a loctician who keeps a spray bottle of something that you may put in your hair that you know will help, something you're using already that's not going to create buildup, like just a spray water bottle, or that with a little bit of chamomile essential oil that you shake up and spray in the area to help with detangling, or maybe some of the I Am Melanin Magic, or whatever it is that you may use in your hair that you come to your sessions armed with. It can be very, very helpful. All right. I'm going to speak of one last thing before I move on and go ahead and close the video out, is monitoring the state of your grid. If you know that you're somebody that's very particular about what your grid looks like, y'all, I am more concerned about the quality of my retightening minus the grid than I am the grid. I'm not going to let the grid hold me back. For example, when Efraj first did my install, you know how they do in the Sisterlocks community, there are different sizes at different parts of your hair. I had what I felt were too many locks that were perfect for the grid, but were too big for me for the area of my head I wanted them in small. And that was more or less in this area and a few in this area. So I asked her to, now, yeah, do I wish maybe I had in a couple areas? Yeah. Did I survive it? Yes. Do I plan to survive it? Yes. But, so she told me going in what the pros and cons were, and that it was going to affect my grid. Was I going to be okay with that? Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. If the situation comes up and some locks have to be married, and because I remember a long time ago, she asked me about these two locks, because when I grow this hair very around these edges here from using that oil, then I would make a little lock, but it would take it forever to grow. And there were times where it was very thin, and she would ask if I wanted her to marry it. And I would say, no, let's give it a little bit longer. Then I really work on that lock, give it some extra TLC, and then I wouldn't need to have it married. But would I do that if it was going to affect my grid, but I knew that it was going to preserve the health of my Sisterlocks? Yes. Heck to the yes. Yes, I would do it. And you should too. So monitor your grid. Know what your grid looks like before you go in there. If every now and then you want her to hold up a picture, hold up your phone and take a picture, or you want to take your selfie stick in and just sort of video what your grid looks like in a particular area that she's working on, y'all, you should be able to do that. They're your locks. You want to see what's going on. But at the very least, take a look at your grid after you get a retightening and before you go in for the next one, so that certain things change or there's something that needs to come to your attention that you might not be paying attention to, you can actually shine the light of awareness on it and not be in a state of shock. You can also shine the light of awareness on it and not be in a place where someone who may not always have your truest and best intentions as their greatest priority are not able to tell you just anything about your hair, that you actually are very familiar with the intimate inner workings of your hair and the needs of your hair. So you're with Tanisha Ali of Tanisha's Locks, Beauty Tips and Potpourri. If you have not purchased my book, Manifesting Your Masterpiece, and you're on a journey of trying to gain clarity, up-level your mindset, clear and heal energetic blockages so that you can manifest the glory of God. That is you. Make sure you go on Amazon and get that book. It will be a wonderful addendum to your healing library. It is not a chapter book. I repeat, it is not a chapter book. And thank you to all of you who are sending me videos. I will be editing these videos, these 2 to 3, 4-minute clips, to put them on the channel as you share, whether it's what your growth I guess outcomes have been with the products, or you're talking about something else that has to do with your Sisterlocks journey that you feel the rest of us can benefit from. I encourage you to use a cell phone, and all you have to do is make sure you're facing the window and the phone is in the middle. Don't have the window behind you and be filming with the window in the video. Make sure you're facing the window and your phone is in front of the window. That way you can take advantage of the greatest amount of natural light, unless you want to film outside. If it's not a long video, you can send it to my WhatsApp. Otherwise, upload it to Google Drive and then send me a link to it, 678-438-6442. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Shout out to Priscilla, shout out to Angelina, shout out to so many of you who I still have to edit videos for and will get them up, and shout out to the beautiful Sheila. Hopefully your back is doing well and the surgery was a success. Y'all, I love y'all. I want y'all to have a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Shine your light bright. Go out there, be peaceful, productive, and prosperous, and live passionately. Bye.
If you are not using I Am Melanin Magic hair oil, then what are you using?
Hey guys, so I started using this oil called I Am Melanin Magic since February of this year, and check out the new growth. Like, it's insane. Not only did it help with my new growth, but it smells amazing too.
See the dramatic improvements Denisha has made after not having hair around her edges for 3 years. Tanya's hair had been like this for almost 20 years, and while getting injections. Her doctor said it was scarred and would never grow back. After 4 weeks of using I Am Melanin Magic, this is what she looked like. I Am Melanin Magic did this to Danette's hair after a short time. Hi, I'm the creator of the I Am Melanin Magic hair and skincare brand. My vision has always been to develop a line of products that meets the unique needs of melanated people. The I Am Melanin Magic hair oil is our premier product. It is the leading high-end supplement for your mane.
It reduces breakage, promotes growth, and can be used on all hair types and looks, from straightened hair and microlocks to wigs and protective styles. It's antifungal, antibacterial, and anti-funk, so you know you're protected.
It softens and conditions your hair, and it's anti-frizz too.
This really is all you need. It's rich with antioxidants, loaded with growth-promoting ingredients. Look at the growth of my hair. The proof is in the product. Need I say more? Don't delay. Purchase yours today.
I Am Melanin Magic, and so are you.